Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Hello friends, this is Santhanam from Officers IAS Academy. So in this video, we will continue with the discussion of modern Indian history questions asked in UPSC Prelims. So as discussed earlier, we are looking at the UPSC Prelims questions that has been asked in different sections of history over the past 5 years from 2015 to 2019, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19, 5 years. So in the last video, we looked at the modern Indian history questions that was asked in the year 2015. And in this video, we will look at those questions asked in the years 16 and 17 combined. We are combining these 2 years because there was not a lot of questions asked in these 2 years, and that's why we are combining them together. So now, we will go forward with learning the different questions that are asked in UPSC, and we will try to answer those questions as to how we will answer them. Starting with the first question. The plan of Sir Stafford Cripps envisaged that after the Second World War, which of the following is correct? India should be granted complete independence. No, that is not correct. It's not correct because of course the British never thought of giving complete independence to Indians, especially the time period before the end of Second World War. They never really thought of that. They never said they will do that. India should be partitioned into two before granting independence. No, even partition was also not a topic of discussion at this point in time. They were still struggling to get the support of Indians for the war. So that's where their focus is. And they were promising that we will give certain things for India in return for the support of Indians in the Second World War. So therefore, partition was not something that they had in mind. They were not offering partition. India should be made a republic with the condition that she will join the Commonwealth. No, there was no such conditions put, and they even went on to say that India can actually get out of the British Commonwealth if it wants, maybe in the future. They are suggesting that. So there was no condition here. And India should be given dominion status. That would be the answer. For the first question, the answer is option D, because here they are saying that we will grant you dominion status if you support in war, and that dominion status will be granted after the end of the Second World War. And India can hold on to the dominion status, can be a part of the British Commonwealth, but if it wants to leave the dominion, that can also be discussed in the future. That's what they were saying in the Cripps mission, as it is called. So the first question, the answer is option D. Question number 2. What was the main reason for the split in INC at Surat in 1907? So they are talking about Surat Split that happened. What could be the reason? Number 1, introduction of communalism into Indian politics by Lord Minto. No, Minto introduced communal award in 1909 Act only, Indian Councils Act of 1909. Surat Split happened in 1907, so that cannot be the answer. Extremist lack of faith in the capacity of moderates to negotiate with the British government. This would be the right answer, because the extremists were not happy with the way how the moderates are conducting themselves with the British. They believe that the British should be dealt in a more aggressive manner, The moderates were seeking only 3 modes of approach towards the British: prayer, petition and protest, that's all. These the extremists felt that is not going to work at all, and therefore they were asking for a more aggressive approach which the moderates could not give, and that's why they were losing faith on the moderates. So that is the answer to that question. The other 2 options are wrong, which is the foundation of Muslim League. That's wrong. Foundation of Muslim League did not lead to Surat Split. That is completely mutually exclusive event. It is not significant here. And Aurobindo Ghosh's inability to be elected as the president of India INC, that's also wrong. And the extremists tried to elect an extremist leader as the president. That extremist leader that they wanted to be the president of Congress was Lala Lajpat Rai, not Aurobindo Ghosh. So therefore, that statement is also wrong. The answer for the second question is option B, B for Bombay. Question number 3. The Swadeshi and boycott were adopted as methods of struggle for the first time during the following list of national movements. They are asking which national movement is the answer. even without looking at the options, we should know the answer is the partition of Bengal. It is for protesting against the partition of Bengal based on communal lines that the Indian leaders decided to take this Swadeshi and boycott movement against the British. The British partitioned Bengal in such a way that the eastern part of Bengal was having a Muslim majority with a Hindu minority, and the western part of Bengal was having a Hindu majority with a Muslim minority. And not just that, in the western part of Bengal, because of the inclusion of other states like Bihar and Odisha, the Bengalis themselves were a minority. They were a linguistic minority, and it became a state where the Hindi speaking people are in a majority. So therefore, it was to crush the Bengali spirit and the nationalism that is happening in India, the British did this partition of Bengal. To protest against that, they announced the Swadeshi and boycott movement. So that is the answer. For the third question, the answer is option A. Question number 4. Satyagraha Samaj organized which of the following they are asking. So Satyagraha Samaj is a socio-religious reform movement. It was an organization which worked for reforming the society and the religion. What were they actually working? It was a movement of upliftment of tribals in Bihar. No, it was not in Bihar at all in the first place. It was happening in the Bombay province. A temple entry movement in Gujarat. No, it was not about temple entry also. An anti-caste movement in Maharashtra. That is the correct answer. Because Satyagraha Samaj is trying to eradicate caste system completely. It was led by the leader Jyotiba Phule, who is called as Mahatma. He was called Mahatma even before Gandhi was called Mahatma. And Jyotiba Phule and his wife Savitriba Phule, both of them were engaged in the upliftment of the depressed class and upliftment of women and widow in particular. So therefore, the answer for the fourth question is option C. Question number 5. Consider the following. Calcutta Unitarian Committee, Tabernacle of New Dispensation, India Reform Association. So they have given 3 committees here or 3 organizations here. And the question is, K. Chandra Sen is associated with the establishment of which of the above? So which of these 3 is related with K. Chandra Sen? Which of these 3 was established by K. Chandra Sen? That's the question. Now let's look at who K. Chandra Sen is. K. Chandra Sen was a prominent leader of Brahma Samaj, who later broke off from Brahma Samaj and went on to start his own Brahma Samaj of India. And of course, there was a lot of fragmentation and splintering that was happening, but that's a different story. We'll focus on these 3 only. The Calcutta Unitarian Committee was not started by K. Chandra Sen. It was started by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So it is not a part of the answer. So 1 should not be there in the answer. You can remove option A and you can remove option D also. What about the second and the third? The Indian Reform Association, that was started by K. Chandra Sen. Indian Reform Association was started by K. Chandra Sen, and he wanted to make this Indian Reform Association as one of the secular wing of Brahma Samaj. He wanted to have a secular part of Brahma Samaj where he would even invite people outside of Brahma Samaj to come and be a part of this. So that is this Indian Reform Association, which was established by K. Chandra Sen. So 3 should be there in the answer. So B and C, both of them have 3. Now the question comes down to 2. This Tabernacle of New Dispensation, is that new dispensation, was that started by K. Chandra Sen? The answer is yes, that was started by K.C. Sen. It was started by Sen because he wanted to bring the good parts of all religion in one place, and he wanted to make that as a new religion by itself. He believed that if this organization is successful, it will go on to replace all the existing religions at all completely. So therefore, it was even called as a Church of New Dispensation. So this was certainly started by K. Chandra Sen. So 2 and 3 is the answer, 1 is not the answer. The answer is option B, 2 and 3 only. Question number 6. The object of the Butler Committee of 1927 was to do what? That's the question. When I say Butler Committee of 1927, they are talking about Harcourt Butler. So this Harcourt Butler came to India in 1927 along with Simon Commission, you should know. Simon Commission also came to India in 1927. And the Butler Committee had its own agenda, it had its own objectives. What was the objectives? This person Harcourt Butler, he travelled to different parts of India to study how the central government and the provincial government are interacting with each other. How it can be made better. What should be the relationship between these two. So they are having a separate committee to actually go and study this relationship all over India. He travelled to 16 different provinces all over the country and gave a report for the British government to ponder. So he was working to define the jurisdiction of the central and provincial governments. Is that the correct answer? The answer is no. He was not defining the jurisdiction of the central and provincial governments. That was already defined in the 1919 Montagu-Kempsford reform, where there was federal subject and provincial, central subject and provincial subject. So this is not the answer. Define the powers of Secretary of the State, no, that's not there. Impose censorship, no, that's also not there. Improve the relationship between the government of India and the Indian states, that is correct. That is certainly correct. So for the sixth question, the answer is option D, D for Delhi. Question number 7. With reference to Indian freedom struggle, consider the following events. Mutiny in Royal Indian Navy, Quit India movement getting launched, second roundtable conference. So 3 different events are mentioned here. 3 events are mentioned here and we want to know the correct chronological sequence of these above events. So how would you arrange them? For starters, let's first accept that the second roundtable conference is the first event of all of this. Why? Because it happened in 1931, soon after the civil disobedience movement was launched, and therefore that is the first one. Quit India and mutiny of Royal Indian Navy happened in 1940s only. So second roundtable conference is the first event, which means 3 should be at the beginning. So of these options, A will not be the answer, B will not be the answer. It is either C or D. So C or D, and in which case now we should know which happened first. Royal Indian Navy mutiny or Quit India, which happened first. Well, look at the series of events in Indian history. Quit India movement happened, and while Quit India movement is happening, all the leaders of India were arrested. The movement became leaderless, and at that point in time, the announcement came from Subhash Chandra Bose from Singapore, where he announced there is going to be a provisional Indian government in Singapore. So this announcement was made by Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose made this announcement, and that gave a lot of hope for the Indians to fight against the British, and the Quit India movement raged on. As it is raging on, understand, Subhash Chandra Bose is making an inroad into India, where he brings in the Azad Hind Fauj, Indian National Army, to fight the British, and those army members were caught by the British. That moment, invasion into India was stopped by the British. And when the soldiers caught in this Azad Hind Fauj, when they were caught, they were brought into a public trial. INA trials happened. And in these trials, you should know, the soldiers were tried, and they were tried for treason. As a retaliation for this trial, Royal Indian Navy mutiny happened. So therefore, Quit India came first, and then Royal Indian Navy came second, which means it is 3 and then 2 and then 1. The answer is option C for question number 7. Consider the following statements. The Factories Act of 1881 was passed with a view to fix the wages of industrial workers and to allow the workers to form trade unions. Was that the Factories Act? No, that's wrong. Trade unions is not at all in the picture at all. In fact, the British colonial government was against trade unions. The Factories Act of 1881 was trying to address the problem of child labor primarily. It was trying to address the problem of child labor, he told that children below the age of 7 should not work in factories. Children below the age of 12 can work only in so many number of hours in the factory. And they were also trying to address the problem of hazardous work environment, where they were trying to fence off very dangerous equipment. So all of these things were dealt in the first Factories Act of 1881. So therefore the first statement is wrong. N.M. Lokhande was a pioneer in organizing the labour movement in British India. N.M. Lokhande, Narayan Meghaji Lokhande. So was he a pioneer of organizing labour movement in India, British India? That is correct. He was in fact trying to get a lot of privileges restored to the textile mill labourers in Bombay province, in Gujarat especially. So therefore, he was indeed organizing the labour force to fight against the British and to get their privileges sustained. He was also working for anti-caste liberation activities. He was also trying to eradicate caste system and communal problems present in India. So the first statement is wrong, the second is correct. The answer is option B, 2 only. Ninth question. Who among the following was or were associated with the introduction of Rayatwari settlement in India during the British rule? So there were three prominent land revenue systems. One is called as permanent land revenue system, the other is called as Rayatwari system, the third is called as Mahalwari system. Permanent land revenue system is also called as Zamindari system. Zamindari system, then the second one is Rayatwari, and the third is Mahalwari. Now of these three, permanent land revenue system was started by the under the leadership of Lord Cornwallis. Cornwallis started it in the late 18th century. Rayatwari system was started in the early 19th century. So which means here the first option is Lord Cornwallis. That is not the answer. He could not have been involved in the creation of Rayatwari settlement. So one wherever is there, we have to eliminate it. So A is not the answer, B is not the answer, D is not the answer. So the answer is option C, 2 and 3 only. Who are they? Alexander Reed and Thomas Munro. Both these people, Captain Alexander Reed and Governor Thomas Munro, sat together, they developed the scheme, and Thomas Munro, when he became the governor of Madras, he implemented the Rayatwari settlement. So what is Rayatwari settlement? Instead of having the Zamindar as the middleman, the British government will directly collect the revenue from the peasants, and therefore that is the Rayatwari settlement. There is no middleman, the British will directly collect. But the problem here is that they would collect excess amount of land revenue and they are forcing the peasants to pay the revenue only in cash, because of which the peasants have to go and ask for the help of money lenders. So money lenders got involved, they exploited the peasants, and soon they took the land away from the peasants because of the insurmountable debts that the peasants faced because of the involvement of money lenders. So that was the problems with regards to Rayatwari settlement. But at any case, for this question, the answer is option C, 2 and 3 only. So with this, we have come to the end of discussion of modern Indian history questions asked in the UPSC prelims between the years 2016 and 17. Please go through the description box and you will get the detailed descriptions of answer keys, and also don't forget to subscribe to watch more such videos. Thank you.